What's up, everybody? I forgot to send out email today. It just slipped my mind, so chat might be a little bit light today, but no biggie. This is 3 weeks dry aged grass fed meat. It's a little bit tough, so I gotta chew this stuff up pretty good. It's pretty tasty though, man. Yeah, it's got a nice little crust on the outside. It's been aging in my new dry ager. I think I got that thing figured out. The key I figured out was salt blocks. You gotta put a bunch of salt blocks, put some trays underneath it. What's up, Raw Primal and Meat Man? Ziggy, what's up, Eat Raw Meat? Yeah, it slipped my mind. I was too busy cooking my potato for dinner. Yeah, I can see your message, Hellman. What's up, buddy? Yes, that's a cooked potato there, everybody. Go ahead. Make fun of me all you want. I started messing around with some cooked starches and basically just potato. That's it. If you're wondering why, it's because I've been craving potatoes for a long time. Like ever since I started this diet, I've been craving potatoes. And I couldn't figure out a way to integrate it into raw because raw potato is just pretty hard to eat, you know? So I started eating just like one cooked potato here and there. Just a couple times a week now. And gotta be honest, it's going pretty well. It digested perfectly. I actually had like one of the best workouts that I've ever had after I ate that potato. So I think there's something to the complex carbohydrates or the starches for some people. I think I might be one of those people that needs a cooked starch every once in a while. Now, I don't eat it every day, and I don't eat cooked starches all day long. And it's probably going to be the only cooked starch that I mess around with is just a potato here and there. I'm not going to start eating bread all the time or anything like that. But yeah, I'm basically like 95% raw now. And don't worry, I'm not going to quit eating raw meat or raw eggs or anything like that, or organs or anything like that. But I do think the cooked potato for some people is a good thing. And Ozgenist even said that like 50% of the population needs cooked starches to prevent aging. That's a pretty big chunk of the population. You know what I mean? So for however many people are eating raw meat out there and not eating any kind of cooked starches, like 50% of those people are potentially aging quicker according to Ozgenist because they're not eating cooked starches. So it's not cheating, and it's not quitting raw meat or anything like that. There's actually a lot of benefits, I think, to eating a cooked starch here and there. So, on top of the fact I've been craving it, you just got to go through cravings, man. So today I got, this is 3 weeks dry-aged grass-fed beef. Dry-aged fresh from my farmer, straight from the farm here, locally. I got some bacon that my boss gave me. My boss tossed me like 3 pounds of bacon. It's pretty good stuff. Then I got an eyeball. I got a goat brain. And then I got one cooked potato with some butter over here. FYSI says exposed. I know. I'm exposed, man. I'm a potato head. It's that Irish in me, man. You can't deny it. Meat Man says, cooked starches help me so much. Weight gain, better mood, more energy. I love it. Yeah, I'm starting to discover that myself, man. I think there's a reason why my body was craving potatoes for like 2 years, but I'm disciplined, you know, and I was like, no, I don't need any kind of plants. I don't need anything like that. But I don't know. For some reason, recently I haven't been afraid to experiment around with it, you know. Just I've been kind of getting into the nut formulas and experimenting with juicing and stuff. I'm at that point now to where my body is like 95% healed up, and I feel confident enough to start digging into some different stuff and kind of seeing what all is out there. And you know, because the deal is like before I started this diet, I never had problems digesting food. I could eat anything. It was just a lot of times it didn't make me feel the best, you know. So what's up, gentle cattle? Nisa says, looks really good. Well, in Weston A. Price documentaries, there were few starches depending on heritage of the tribe. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I read that Weston Price book, and that's kind of what pushed me in the direction to experiment with a little bit of potatoes too. And yeah, I don't eat the skin. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend eating the skin. For some reason, I can't remember. But yeah, I think it's actually pretty normal to eat some, maybe like a piece of heirloom grain, you know, sourdough rye bread every once in a while, and maybe like a cooked potato, you know. Workout routine's going good. I kind of work out whenever I feel like it. I'm not really in a routine at this point, but I lift about probably 3 times a week. And I got chains now, so it's pretty interesting. I'm hooking up chains to my bench and my squats, so it's giving me kind of a different type of workout, but I'm digging it. Whisper says, what do you think about rice? If you want that instead of potatoes, I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. Rice and potatoes seem pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Pretty tame. They're pretty tame foods, you know what I mean? There's just really nothing to them. They just kind of give you a little bit of a boost of a complex carb. That's about it. Rebecca says, no need to defend yourself with the potato. Raw meat and organs is most important. Any little experimentation won't hurt. Yeah, basically. That's the key. Brains are addictive. You're damn right, dude. I love eating brains. It's really weird. And they give me these insane dreams every night. Like, every single time I eat them. It's just unbelievably vivid dreams. Like a movie playing in my head. I can see everything, all the details. Fat of the Land says, Weston, did you get that cash I sent you via PayPal? Was that you? Thank you very much, man. That was like a really generous donation. I was wondering who sent that. Thanks so much, man. Yeah, if you guys want to donate or anything, instead of doing like super chats, if you want to send like a PayPal, that way like most of it comes to me and it doesn't, like half of it doesn't go to YouTube. You can PayPal me at The Natural Human Diet, paypal.me/The Natural Human Diet, and then if you put a question in there or something like that, then I'll check the PayPals before the end of the stream's over, and then I'll read the question. But yeah, that was very nice of you, Fat of the Land. Yeah, try potatoes, man. I'm not quite messing with bread yet. I'm not that bold. Just because there's still a little bit of gluten going on there. Gluten's a little bit scary, but General Cattle says the Swiss people ate a significant amount of cooked starch. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, that's one thing that pushed me into it. What's up, Sam Adams? Do I eat a lot of seafood? I do not. I think that's one reason why I started messing with added salt a little bit. I live in beef country, so I'm right in the middle of the United States. I'm the farthest you can possibly be from the ocean. So like the shipping charges and stuff like that on seafood are crazy, and we don't get much fresh stuff. So I don't get to experiment much with the fresh seafood. When you going vegan? I think I might go pretty soon here, probably. It's coming. The potato's the first step. It's gonna inoculate me with the little vegan demons. No, I'll probably definitely never go vegan, man. I don't know what pushes people to go vegan, but I never had that little motivation to try that. I always knew if I skipped a day without meat, I felt really weird. Can I donate you my blood? I don't know what you mean by that. Mari, greetings everyone. Thank you, Wes, for every bit of information. Godspeed. Thank you. You too. What's on the menu? This is 3 weeks dry aged grass-fed beef. Got a little bacon from my boss. Hooked me up with a few pounds of bacon. I got a goat eyeball, a goat brain, half a goat brain, 1 cooked potato, organic, and some raw butter. Yes, raw bacon. Raw bacon's really good, guys, if you never tried it. It's better than cooked for sure. Yeah, I think Augenus recommended sweet potatoes. I think some people argue they're slightly better than potatoes, but I never liked sweet potatoes. I don't know what's in sweet potatoes that's not in regular potatoes, but never liked them. No, I've never had a horse meat. Issa says, do you remember all your dreams? Yeah, I remember all my dreams, like when I wake up. I remember basically the whole thing. Kind of fades away as I go throughout the day the next day. But yeah, especially if you eat brains, you'll remember all of your dreams for sure. It's literally like you just watched a movie the night before. Like, if you can remember a movie you watched the night before, you'll remember your dreams on brains. It's unbelievable. It's not like a regular dream where you're just kind of like, it's like fading in the background or you're not really like involved in it. These dreams on brains, you are who you are like in your real life, but you're just sleeping and you're in this whole different world. It's unbelievable. There's got to be like DMT or something in these brains. It's like it almost feels psychedelic in a way. Histamine and foods that contain it. Honestly, I haven't looked too deep into histamines. That's one thing that I haven't checked into a whole lot. So I can't really comment a whole lot on histamines. I know a lot of people have issues with them, supposedly. Haleman asks, is drinking blood against Christianity? I doubt it. I honestly, like, the more I get closer to God, the more I get away from following, like, organized religion and Christianity. But just because of stuff like that, like, just all of the stuff in the Bible that, like, doesn't make a lot of sense. But I don't see how drinking blood would have anything to do with, like, worshiping the devil. You know what I mean? Or blaspheming God. You know what I mean? It's a nutrient. It comes from the animal, and there's lots of indigenous tribes that drink it and stuff. So I think that's just all kind of some hogwash. It's probably just a warning. That's what I gather from it. Is it's just a warning that there is cults out there that drink blood that aren't worshiping God. So just beware of that. But if you have a personal relationship with God and you know right and wrong, then there's nothing wrong with slaughtering an animal and drinking the blood from it. Just don't get all into it, you know what I mean? Just drink it for nutrition and that's it, you know? What's the goat brain taste like? It's pretty bland, man. Brain tastes pretty bland. Not a whole lot of flavor to it. Eat raw meat says sweet potato is ass, normal potato is cool. Dude, I couldn't agree more with you. I think sweet potatoes are garbage. Bacon confused. Can it be raw bacon from the store? It's not ideal just because there's a lot of extra sodium and stuff in there and added salt and things like that. But I'm not sure where this is from, to be honest with you. I know it's good bacon. I don't know if it's from my boss's hogs or what, but thanks, T. Moeller. I will refresh that. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go grab a fork. Oh, sorry, buddy. Let me get a fork. I'll be right back. It looks like the chat was frozen there from the last stream, so I'm trying to get that checked out. There we go. Good looking out, T. Moeller. Put a blanket over your head. Yeah, brain-only diet would be sweet. Put a blanket over your head when sleeping and improves quality of dreams. Interesting. I blacked out my windows, so I got like no light coming into my room. That definitely helped me sleep a lot. I would highly recommend doing that, guys. Sleep on the floor, or if you don't want to sleep on the floor, build a platform bed like I did. Buy a platform bed frame online, and then put a piece of thick plywood on top of it, and then put like a yoga mat on top of that, and then sleep on that. Like a thick, actually like a camping mat. It's like a yoga mat, but thicker. Put that on top of the plywood, and then black out all your windows. Get some good sleep. Solid. Spectre Bond says, hey Wes, I was tanning without any protection for 2 hours. Today I have extreme headache. Sun poisoning, you think? Probably not poisoned, but you might have got cooked. You might have cooked your brain a little bit. You might be dehydrated. Try to hydrate yourself. Drink some raw eggs. Some milk. Are raw whole eggs safe to eat? What about Avidin and egg whites? Yeah, raw eggs are fine. I've never had an issue with raw eggs. I know eggs is one of those things like milk. It seems like there's varying reactions throughout the community of raw eaters. Some people just eat the yolk, some people eat the whites. I never got that because I just eat the whole thing and I never have an issue. But some people, they get like tired from eating eggs. It's kind of weird. Well, honestly, it could be the quality because eggs are something that are really easy to cheat on, you know? So just make sure you're getting them like I am from the farmer, soy-free, corn-free, all that stuff. Bible's been flipped and changed over the centuries. Oh yeah, guys, you gotta see through that stuff, man. It sucks. It's nice to think you have something to depend on, like a big old thick book that you can just kind of flip through and it's got all the answers. But unfortunately, guys, like everything in this world, it's been corrupted by humanity. It doesn't change the power of some of the messages in there, especially the New Testament of Jesus and stuff. I mean, it doesn't change how I feel about that stuff, but for the most part, you just got to be realistic about it. Like, you know, the thing was written like 100 years after the events happened, and it was changed over centuries, and translation was messed up, and some words don't even mean certain words. It's kind of a mess, man. And there's nowhere in the Bible that says that you should start building churches everywhere. So I don't believe in churches or anything like that. Like, you got to really look into the message that Jesus was trying to portray, and you got to really look into what the Bible is trying to convey there. And a good book to read about that is The Kingdom of God is Within You by Tolstoy. It's an excellent book, and it breaks down everything I just talked about how the Bible and the churches or everything like that are the complete opposite of what the message was supposed to be. Ideally, it's just supposed to be you have a personal relationship with God, and You don't go try to push it all over everybody. You have a personal relationship, a private relationship with God, and don't go around sinning all the time. And it's really simple, man. Rebecca says the animal is already God. What's the point? Or dead. I'm sorry. What's the point in wasting the blood? Yeah, exactly. Change your channel name to Meatbeard. That sounds like a pirate name. I'll wear a pirate's hat. Meatbeard. Yeah, sounds like heat stroke to me too. Definitely just try to hydrate yourself. Yeah, fresh fruit would be a great one. Sweet potatoes have so much oxalate. I think I read that, and I think that's maybe why my body tries to avoid it. Hellman says, I think it may have something to do with stopping people from doing satanic rituals that involve drinking blood. It does say don't eat animals sacrificed to idols. Yeah, I think you nailed it there, man. How's the doggies? You feed them raw, right? Oh yeah, dogs are doing good, man. I just picked off a big old tick on my dog. It's always fun having ticks in your house. I was hanging out on my couch the other day. A little tick was crawling up my arm. Fun times. One time I took my dogs out to a dog park and it was really tall grass. It was like out in just this nature area. And I picked ticks off my dogs and myself for like 2 weeks. It was a freaking nightmare, man. They were like crawling on me when I was sleeping and shit. Corey says, I made some sauerkraut, fermented for 2 weeks, but it's tough and spicy. Is it supposed to be like that if it's homemade? I let mine go in like a month. But, yeah, I think it should be like pretty crisp. And it should be kind of have a little kick to it if that's what you like. I don't know about spicy, but it should be like, it has a little kick to it. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call that a spice if you want. But yeah, properly fermented sauerkraut, like the way you do it on my video on my channel, that'll get you some tough sauerkraut, man. Raw eggnog sounds good, man. Blood is very nutritious. The Maasai tribe lives mostly on milk and blood. That's right. Augenus brings up the Maasai quite a bit in his lectures and stuff. You know, I like the energy that I get off of this dry-aged meat because it's like pre-digested. It's like a real quick, instant energy, man. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, Spectre Bond. You'll probably be good after today. The only time I've ever had a headache from a sun or something like that, from too much sun, it usually goes away after a day. But just hydrate yourself, eat some fresh fruit. Yeah, basically, yeah, milk is blood with minus the iron. This is your brain on brains. Exactly. Eat raw meat, says Yoga Mat. Where's the fur, man? The fur. I know, Yoga Mat's getting a little too close to vegan world, huh? It's actually, I don't sleep on a yoga mat. I sleep on a camping mat. But, yeah, I guess I could get some fur. It's just sleeping on, like, plywood. Like, I think ideally we're supposed to sleep on, like, soil. You know what I mean? Like, you lay some hay on some soil. And the soil's got some give to it. It's going to sink in a little bit. But I'm sleeping on, like, plywood, right? So I need something with a little bit of give. So if I get some real thick fur, that might work. But I was looking that shit up online, and that shit gets really expensive, man. Like a full, like, bear fur, like bear skin and stuff. Gets a little crazy. Maybe I'll buy a sheep from the live market, and I'll start trying to figure out how to, like, sew together a big sheep fur blanket or something like that. General Cattle, wasn't the ban on blood only under Mosaic law? The New Testament talks about what enters the mouth does not make a man unclean. Yeah, exactly. What enters the mouth does not make the man unclean. It's what comes out of your mouth. That's what makes a man unclean, for sure. Which is another argument against fasting for spiritual purposes, too. Because, you know, if it's not what goes into your mouth, it's what comes out of your mouth. fasting is somewhat falls under what goes into your mouth, you know? So it's like you can't just fast and consider that like a beautiful relationship with God. You have to make sure you're not, you know, talking shit all the time to everybody, I guess. That's what that means. Not saying evil stuff, putting spells upon people. And by that I mean just like cursing people with negativity and stuff like that, you know? Double K, therefore do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink. Colossians 2:16. So eating a rare steak, blood sausage, blood pancakes, blood soup, or blood tofu may not be palatable at all to Christians, but it's allowable. For sure. It's all intuition, man. You know, if you have like a good relationship with God and you're walking in the light and you're following His will, you know what's right and wrong. You know what I mean? And eating food is not, there's nothing wrong with that. Isa says, for me, we have had so much information from our past destroyed that the Bible, Torah, or the writings are all a part of something bigger we've forgotten. And it's always been a plan of bigger forces. Yeah, it depicts a lot of historical facts that we've lost and stuff. But if you've ever had like a really strong, extremely powerful like spiritual experience, you see exactly what they were trying to depict in the Bible. It becomes like crystal clear instantly. Like you instantly understand it. So there's not really a whole lot of mystery behind it if you have it actually happen to you. You're like, oh, I see what they were doing there. And all of the religions are basically worshiping the same God. And it's all an illusion that they're worshiping different gods. And it's an illusion by the devil put out there to basically make the religions all fight each other and kill each other. Because that's the whole plan of the devil, is to create division among human beings and then have them all fight each other and do his evil work for him. You know what I mean? So don't buy into all the religious wars and stuff like that. The Native Americans had a belief that if someone believes that they are worshiping God, then they are worshiping the real God. That's interesting, huh? If someone believes that they are just worshiping God, no matter what part of religion it is, they are actually worshiping God. So think about that next time you judge someone else's religion. You know what I mean? They're probably actually worshiping the same God that you are, and it's foolish to start wars over stuff like that. Now, as long as the other religion isn't impeding on any sort of human rights, you know what I mean? That's kind of that's the catch. Is there any proof that honey is better than white sugar? Just intuitively, it seems like it is, but it digests much better. It's full of enzymes, and I eat honey all the time, and I never had problems with it like I have with like sugar, you know? Yeah, I think you can leave out eggs if they're previously refrigerated. This time, Fat Atlanta says, this time of year I sunbathe early to mid-morning and late afternoon to avoid peak sun. I also do it naked to get maximum vitamin D. Nice. I'm always walking around with my shirt off in my backyard now. Like, I used to be like scared to take my shirt off, like my neighbors would see me. It's just so stupid. Like, why would you be scared to just walk around with your shirt off? We live in this weird society where it's like you have to be ashamed to be masculine and be half naked all the time. Like, screw it, man. I'm getting my vitamin D. Y'all can cover up your bodies and get sick, you know? But yeah, I wear shorts and I take my shoes and my socks off and I take my shirt off and every time I'm outside, that's all I'm wearing. I can get farm eggs, but it's eggs from the store, good to eat raw. Probably better than no eggs, but just experiment with it. There might be a lot of soy and stuff in there, and, you know, try to go with some better, more expensive eggs if you can. Jonathan says, my wife is threatening to leave me and take the kids since I'm eating raw. What should I do? That's insane. I don't know. over a diet. That's pretty crazy. Unfortunately, we live in a society where everything is, the divorces are all tilted towards the women, so they can actually threaten to do stuff like that, and it's real. Unfortunately, just take your kids from you. You know, that's messed up, man. I mean, I can't tell you what to do one way or the other, but all I know is fundamentally you got to speak the truth, no matter what, and no matter what you're facing, you know, and go from there. And also make sure you don't, you know, guys out there getting married and stuff, make sure you don't marry someone that's gonna divorce you over raw meat. That's pretty wild, man. She sounds like a wacky one. But she's also sounds like she's brainwashed. A lot of people are brainwashed, so. But that's an evil act for her to threaten to take the kids away from their father. That's an evil act, man. So she's basically threatening evil upon you, and you know. Double K says, I agree some of the Bible has been corrupted, yet you also have to realize the Dead Sea Scrolls were written predicting everything that went down 300, 600 years before Christ. I gotta read those Sea Scrolls, man. How do you dry age your meats? Check my Instagram out. Maybe I can get that going for you guys here. Just a sec. This is how I dry age my meat. This is what I got currently, this setup here. This is a old freezer. It's not necessarily that old, but it's got these coils, which I think the dry air freezers might work a little bit better because this creates a lot of condensation, I noticed. But I just got these hooks, and I hang my meat on hooks. And I started putting these salt blocks in there. So I got 2 salt blocks under here underneath with a pan underneath. And I put this one up here with a pan underneath that. So it draws the moisture away from the meat, and then I just dump the pans out every day. But yeah, it was a work in progress. It was getting a little slimy on the outside, so I had to, because the condensation from up here, I realized, was dripping down on the meat from all the rapid and cooling and heating process going on. Because it's the compressor's constantly kicking on and off because it's got to stay within a certain temperature range. So I put these towels on. I wrap these towels on the coils, so it absorbs the moisture. And I put a towel right here, and it also absorbs the moisture. And so I changed this towel out right here every day. And then I also moved this meat up here, down here. So I got everything hanging on this rack and this rack. So yeah, I can't hang like, you know, big chunks of meat like big animals and stuff like Derek Nance can on his, which is pretty cool, but I can still fit like a really good amount of meat between these 2 sections, and I just keep this one free to collect all the moisture. But it worked out pretty good. It turned out, this is some, like, as you can see, this stuff turned out really nice. It's got a nice crust on it. It's 3 weeks aged. It's it still looks nice in the middle, you know. Kitschy says Terramin clay has 100 or 1,208% of daily value of iron per teaspoon. Non-Hemi iron. I would, definitely guess non-Hemi. It's a lot of iron, man. Fat of the land. That dry aged meat will be super high in K2. Vital to get calcium into the bones. Oh, is that what it does? Does it enhance the K2? I'm wondering about that because, like, there's something in this dry aged meat, man, that gives you, like, a different type of energy. It must be the higher vitamin content. Rebecca says, look into the etymology of words like God and Lord. They were Germanic words that didn't even mean the highest being. It was a lower level deity that they agreed to add Jesus to because you fellas told them. I will look into that. Sounds very interesting. Eat raw meat. It says take a blanket sheet, put in hay, close the sheet, then sleep on it. Pretty good idea, man. You got some good ideas. Might do that. Hay's pretty easy to get, you know? Then maybe throw some fur on top of the hay. What's up, Wild Style? Am I in lockdown? So we had like our restaurants and all that shit closed down, but we had some of our parks closed down. But the state I'm in Nebraska, we're one of 4 states in the whole country that had no stay-at-home orders. Because everybody's cool that lives here and doesn't believe in all that shit. There's just a bunch of farmers and, you know, just a bunch of good God-fearing Christian folk around here that trust in God and aren't scared of little stupid imaginary viruses. So, yeah, we had no lockdown, man. And what do you know? Nothing happened. What's up, little fat bastard? Yeah, sorry your comment got deleted the other day, man. That definitely wasn't me. I enjoy your takes on things, and I would never delete your comments, so... I had a notification for it. I saw that you left something, and I read the first sentence of it, and then I clicked on it to read the rest of it, and it was gone. And I was like, that's weird that he deleted it. Hamas says, how did your libido change on this diet? Actually, my libido became more tempered. Because unless I'm around women, then it changes drastically. But when I'm not around women, my libido is extremely tempered. And that's because I'm on the natural diet. And that's the way that God made animals. Animals are not supposed to have a high sex drive unless they're around an animal that's in heat, ovulating, or, you know, etc. Augenist goes into this in a lot of his lectures. That basically all of the chemicals and the sugars and all of the stuff in the standard American diet and our standard junk food diets screws up your hormones, and it creates like basically an over-sexualized society. So, yeah. I mean, my libido functions great when I need to have it function, but, you know, I'm not like constantly thinking about sex all day. It's actually pretty nice. Wild Style says, I always had overcooked meat in the past. It was like leather. It was easy to go vegan after. Yeah, it's a big deterrent when you're just cooking the shit out of it like that. Spectre Bond, do you agree with Augenist on STDs not being transmitted the way mainstream health believes? Oh, yeah. Yep. Herpes is, everybody has herpes, guys. Don't worry about it if you got it. It's a totally normal detox that every human being has. It may not show up on every human being, but trust me, everyone has the virus, guys. Everybody has every virus. Viruses all come from your bodies. We have over 300,000 viruses in our body. They're all produced when you have a certain amount of toxins enter your system. And herpes just happens to remove toxins through your private area, you know? So it's kind of freaks people out and stuff, but yeah, I agree with Augenus on all of his virus theory, especially the viral STDs, or STDs, whatever. It's not really an STD. I also believe you can get STDs through airplanes by the pressurized cabins, and you can inhale the bacteria, and it can actually come out your private area. So there's a lot of stuff we don't know about STDs, guys, that there's some really interesting stuff out there on it. Well, HIV doesn't cause AIDS, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, STDs are a total hoax, guys. Now, I will concur that there is probably some bacterial ones that are transmittable because you're basically like, your private area is like a petri dish. And I think bacteria probably could be transmitted, but I don't think most people are worried about those ones anyways. Most people are worried about like the viral STDs. That's a hoax for sure. But yeah, even if you get like a bacterial infection down there, you know, it's just a detoxification. Like, look at urinary tract infections. They don't call those STDs, but like lots of women get urinary tract infections. What's the difference? It's the same freaking thing. They just don't call it a STD. It's a hoax, man. Yeah, I'm sure you can get taller on raw milk and organs. For sure. I got to remeasure myself, but I think I went up a 1/4 inch. And I'm in my 30s. Pretty amazing. But I suspect that could be because I started sleeping on the floor and it decompressed my spine and my whole body flattened out. No, I've never heard of hidradenitis suppurativa. Yeah, honey is definitely natural and medicinal. Yeah, STDs are fake tactics to decrease population. Precisely. It's a fake tactic to get you to stop procreating. Yeah, and condoms are pretty absurd. Just don't have sex with anybody that's not your wife or husband. Let's put it that way. That's the best way to go about it. How many wanks a day is considered healthy? Probably none, but I'm not one to judge. Let's put it that way. But I would say just keep it at one, my friend. Yeah, it's your life force, like Cole Slice said. Just keep that shit down to a minimum. You'll probably be a lot healthier. You guys ready to watch me eat a potato for the first time? Frickin' potato head over here. This is kind of weird because I always eat with my fingers. I'm just going to scoop it out and leave the skin on. I'll just scoop it out. Try not to eat the skin. But dunk it in butter. I might actually put this down here. Taters, man. Taters are where it's at. Actually, I might eat this brain real quick first. I gotta save the best for last, right? Eat the eyeball and then the brain. This is the easiest way I figured out how to eat an eyeball. Just cut a little slice on the side, if you can. This is a little slippery guy. Slippery little bugger. It's really hard to cut these things, so be careful when you're cutting these eyeballs. Especially with these boning knives, man. Cut your finger up real good. But eyes are like unbelievably tough, man. You would think it would go straight through the eye. There we go, that's ready. Best way to eat eye is suck out the inside and swallow it. Brain, my favorite. I eat brain like every day now. It's crazy. I may not have seafood, but I have brains every day. That's almost like, it's almost worth it, you know what I mean? It's pretty good. Jonathan Pernice, what's up? I started floor sleeping 4 months ago. I had the worst hip and low back pain you can imagine. It's completely gone. Yeah, it's the shit, isn't it? Takes all that stuff away, man. All that stuff is from couches and mattresses, guys. Think how unnatural a couch or a mattress is compared to nature. It's unbelievable. Bible tells us that Jesus isn't God's human son, rather that Jesus, who is co-eternal with God, that means like God, he existed forever, became human. Jesus was like God, eternal and perfect. Yeah, basically the lesson to be gotten from Jesus is that it's possible to be like God when you're in human form. You know, this whole religion of Christianity isn't about worshiping Jesus, guys. You don't want to worship a human being. You want to worship God. If you're not worshiping just God, you're totally missing the point. Jesus was just an example of God, and it's an example that you can follow. It's almost, I look at it like a higher form of consciousness that you can achieve, and it helps you see through good and evil, and it helps you keep calm and tempered and keep your anger out and not judge people and not have pride and ego and things like that, things that just poison up human beings, and ruin your life. But yeah, Jesus was just meant to be an example of a higher form of consciousness that you can achieve that aligns you with God's will and also just helps you bring peace to your life, It's really that simple. Kichi says, does anyone here order from Amos Miller's Organic Farm? Yeah, I do. And shipping to my place in Nebraska is about $50 for a pretty big order. For like a couple $100 order, $200 to $250 order, it's like $50. Raw potato, guys. I feel like a little heathen, but I really don't. I'm just kidding. Because it feels so right, man. Some foods just don't feel right, you know what I mean? Like eating like a bowl of cereal or drinking like a Dr. Pepper. But a potato, man? Come on. I'm thinking about changing my channel name to Natural Human Diet Plus Potatoes. Just to be totally transparent, I'm just kidding. Rebecca says, my family went to the area on the border of Germany and Poland where we came from. And they went to a local restaurant and were shocked when they served them raw hamburger patties with a raw egg. Nice. Yeah, that's makes perfect sense. There's no coincidence. I'm like 75% German and 10% Scandinavian, and I just love raw meat. It's kind of weird, huh? Double K, but he became human so that he could enter into our world and die for humans. The Bible treats us as something to marvel at. Jesus Christ, though he was in the form of God, He was the Son of God. But there's many sons of God. I feel like I am also a son of God. I'm a lucky to have been woken up by God. There's not a lot of people that are sons or daughters of God. Like most of the world isn't. But Jesus was just an example of what you can be as a son of God, you know? And here's something to think about. What if Jesus never existed? What if he was never a human being and he was just a spirit that was accessed upon people in higher states of consciousness? And he was depicted as a human being through stories in order to just remind you that of what can be achieved in these higher forms of consciousness as a human. You know? Because all of like the miracles and stuff like that, I mean, like, sorry, Christians, but I have enormous doubts about a lot of that stuff unless it was just metaphorical or something. But I don't think there was this guy walking around performing magical acts on people. I don't really understand that. It's not logical. And I don't think he actually died and like rose from the dead or whatever. I don't believe that either. I never actually did believe that, but I was like forced through fear in my religion to believe it and not speak out against it. But I always thought it was weird every time someone would say it, you know? So I'm starting to, as I get closer to God and actually more aligned with like Gnosticism, to be honest with you, I'm starting to suspect that potentially Jesus is just a spirit and he wasn't actually a human being. So something to ponder. And you should never be afraid to question anything regarding religion at all. You know, the point is as long as you have a strong relationship with God, that's all that matters. Crazy how the history of raw meat is so hidden. I know. They looked at it as barbaric, you know? I think they did that to the Indians too when they came here. They were all eating raw meat. Potatoes do need raw butter. Slowly step away from the potato and put your hands up. I know, I'm blaspheming right now. But you know what, guys? This still falls within the raw primal diet, guys. It's in We Want to Live. Autogenous Funded Planets recommended it. If you want a potato, eat a damn potato. I'm a rebel, what can I say? I'm a rebel at heart, man. Can't hold me up with all these rules. I'm a secret vegan shill, as all the gammas would say on YouTube. He's a shill, man. He's a vegan shill. Brett Roman says Jesus is fictional. He never existed. Sometimes I wonder that, man. By just the elaboration of all the crazy stories and stuff, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little out of hand. And now we're drinking his blood and eating his flesh. Like, okay, what is that all about? Why would raw meat give me diarrhea? Might be just detoxing you out, but make sure it's good quality. That's really all you got to worry about with meat, but most of it is. You can just smell it and look at it, you know. But that's a good question. I don't really know exactly what would cause that. You know, sometimes maybe some poor quality stuff, but it's probably not the raw meat. A lot of times, guys, when you get diarrhea, you think it's like the last thing you ate or something. A lot of times it's not. Sometimes your body was just ready to detox. Just let it detox out and try it again. And if it happens again, then you'll know it's probably the quality of meat you're eating, you know? Fab of the Land says, you know it would go well with that potato, a Beyond Meat steak, and some vegan scrambled eggs. That does sound pretty good, actually. I might get that going. Delbridge says, Jesus existed, but the miracles are allegorical. Yeah, I don't know for sure. I'm not saying he didn't exist. I'm not saying he did. But here's just, I don't believe anything that I haven't seen with my own eyes anymore. Let's put it that way. Because, guys, I've been fed nothing but lies my entire life. And I've woke up to many, many, many different lies and deceptions in this world. And so I don't believe anything that anyone tells me anymore unless I've seen it with my own eyes or it's been conveyed to me through God. And someone that's been written about in a book, I've never seen with my own eyes, so not 100% sure on that one. The miracles do sound allegorical for sure. Like, I think that healing the blind people so they could see was like a perfect analogy for waking someone up spiritually. That's like, that one is understandable. And I don't know, I think there's like some epilepsy ones and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. Driving demons out. It may be true, man. It may be true. I don't think they were really physical miracles, but maybe they were more like spiritual miracles that were kind of embellished into like physical ones. But I believe in spiritual miracles for sure. Like, I've seen people with like full-blown schizophrenia turn out like completely normal all of a sudden. Just like people that were just batshit crazy. You would think they're like that their whole life, and they were just, God healed them. Is Ogenus your main point of reference for health and nutrition? He's a big one, man. He's a big one. I also enjoy Weston Price's works. I like R.B. Pearson. He's got some interesting stuff. But for the most part, I've read all of those guys' books, and now I'm just following my own intuitions. And so that's what everybody should do, is you should just get pointed in the right direction. Read Ogenus, read Weston Price, read R.B. Pearson. Get yourself pointed in the right direction, and then just follow your intuitions from there. That's the best thing you can do. I had to follow my intuitions, and I had to start reintegrating fruit back in. So that's when I went off of the carnivore diet. I started integrating fruit, and then now I'm also following my instincts, and I'm starting to integrate potatoes. So you just got to go with what your body tells you, and don't be afraid of what anybody says. You know? It's a good tater, guys. This is better than those russet potatoes, too. These are those red potatoes. These are the best. Issa says, the more Gnostic, the weirder it gets. I'm sure it does get a little weird if you look into that a little bit, but the basic of Gnosticism, I 100% it. I've always been a Gnostic. I've been a Gnostic, well, for years at least, and I never knew it. I never knew what the term was for Gnosticism. It might have been Old Fat Bastard, I can't remember who it was, that turned me on to Gnosticism. But I looked it up one day and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I believe. Let's look it up. Let's at least look up the Wikipedia definition of Gnosticism. I don't think there's anything evil about this at all, guys. I think this is a legitimate perspective on God. Gnosticism, or having knowledge, is a collection of ancient religious ideas and systems which originated in the 1st century AD among early Christian and Jewish sects. These various groups emphasize personal spiritual knowledge over orthodox teachings, traditions, and ecclesiastical authority. Gnostic cosmogony generally presents a distinction between a supreme hidden God and a blind, malevolent demiurge responsible for creating the material universe. That's exactly what I believe, and that's what my instincts tell me is going on. That's what God has directly revealed to me as the truth, is that there's a supreme God that we cannot see with our eyes, and then there's just this basically, malevolent, like Satan, that has completely control over all of the world and the material universe and everybody on it. Viewing this material existence as flawed or evil, Gnostics consider the principal element of salvation to be direct knowledge of the supreme divinity in the form of mystical or esoteric insight. Many Gnostic texts do not deal not in concepts of sin and repentance, but with illusion and enlightenment. For sure. Yeah, sin and repentance is important. I don't think you should completely ignore that stuff. You should not sin, and then you should repent for your sins prior, like anger and pride, stuff like that. But yeah, basically I believe that the element of salvation is connecting straight to God in the form of insight. Basically having if you've ever had an extreme spiritual experience, that's how that happens. And then also the concepts of illusion and enlightenment. This whole world is illusion, man. This whole world is a material illusion. And enlightenment is the ability to kind of see through all that stuff. So Gnostic writings flourished among certain Christian groups in the Mediterranean world until about the 2nd century, when the fathers of the early church denounced them as heresy. Efforts to destroy these texts proved largely successful, resulting in the survival of very little Gnostic writing. So that's a little suspicious, right, guys? We all know what the big tech companies are doing to suppress free speech nowadays, right? Does this not seem exactly the same thing here? You had Gnostics writing teachings about insight and spirituality and et cetera, and the church, the organized church, denounced it all as heresy. So it's got me a little suspicious of the organized religions, especially because Gnosticism just seems like really logical. I don't see anything wrong with it. I think a lot of people are Gnostics and they don't even realize it. Why would cavemen cook their meat after they would presumably already have been on the raw meat diet, which meant they were healthy? Why change a good thing? I don't know. I'm not sure why they started cooking, man. It's a good question. One thing I can think is that it was a way to preserve rancid meat, or to cover up rancid meat. Yeah, I'm getting paid by Beyond Meat. I'm a shill, guys. I'm a potato shill. I'm getting paid by the farmers of Idaho. Yeah, raw potato is mental illness. Gnosticism sounds like Satanism. That's totally different, man. How does it sound like Satanism? It's a pretty far stretch. Old fat bastard, there's a couple things in that wiki that aren't really true. Nah, really? Wikipedia is not true? Get out of here. But if you have some place we can DM and I'll give you a better overall view. Yeah, for sure. I think I have a pretty good view of Gnosticism, man, because that's where all my views come from, basically. It comes from a place of a Gnostic perspective. And I just needed basically a general outline of it to kind of confirm that I'm not the only one that believes that way, Yeah, Satanism is anything that's against God, aka everything that's unnatural. Right, yeah. Everybody that knows me on the stream knows I'm not satanic. I'm completely the opposite. I'm totally for God and all of his beautiful creations and all that stuff. Do you believe in saints? Maybe. As far as angels and saints and stuff, sure. How are the green juices helping? They're not hurting, that's for sure. And I've just been drinking them 2 or 3 times a week. I'm not drinking them every day, all day or anything. I'll make up a little bit in the morning and I'll eat it before my meat meal. But we'll see, man. Let me experiment for like a couple months and I'll see if it makes any kind of difference. It's sometimes it's just so hard to tell, because like I'm already in like, prime health right now, so I don't know really what to look for with the green juices. I think a lot of that stuff, when you're getting into like the real specific stuff like that, like juices and all that on top of the diet, that was for like really sick people. But I just thought I'd try it out a little bit, and honestly, like I feel like I could probably do without it. Very hydrating though, definitely feels hydrating, and it's really like refreshing first thing in the morning, especially with put some lemon in there. I grow mangoes, bananas, and root vegetables. They taste way better than store bought. I bet. Old fat bastard. Satanism is a bad term considering Satan refers to Abaddon, and God literally had Abaddon the Destroyer do things for him. My uncle had a band in high school called Abaddon. My grandpa was pissed, man. My grandpa's a Christian guy. He was pissed, dude, when he found out my uncle's band name. He's like, that means the devil, right? One time my grandpa found a Nine Inch Nails CD on his countertop that my uncle or my brother left there. And he opened up the lyrics and started reading it out loud. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad day. Yeah, it's a plain potato. You know what? I put a couple little specks of salt on it. I can't lie to you guys. I've been experimenting with a little bit of added salt here and there, but it's not something I plan on using every day in my diet or anything because I know it's not good for you. But yeah, stop cyberbullying Satan. Exactly, guys. Come on. Stop being such Satan phobes. We gotta accommodate everybody on the internet, right? The thunder hit so hard it popped your vent off? That's crazy. That is nuts. Willie says, you follow your own make-believe nonsense, whatever, which is fine, but it's nonsense you're making up, so it's just man-made nonsense. Okay, so it's nonsense is what you're saying. Right. Gnosticism, which is over 2,000 years old, is nonsense, and like tons of people followed it, and yeah, it's nonsense. Jeff says Gnostics believed the serpent was the true messenger of God and was sent to them to tell them to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I know, man. I know. The whole thing makes you completely rethink the whole Adam and Eve story. Because the Adam and Eve story, guys, does not make sense. And honestly, that Gnostic interpretation of it, I'm not afraid to say it, makes way more sense to me. And I know a lot of people haven't had the same experiences that I've had. But when you've had the experiences that I've had, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, it was not a regular tree, guys. Let's just put it that way. Willie says, LOL, whatever, man, you're just another distraction. I don't know why you would laugh out loud at that, but I mean, that's okay if we differ in viewpoints. You don't have to agree with me, man. I don't judge you for it. Eat Raw Meat says, what is your definition of Satanism, Wes? I would say Satanism is probably just rejecting God's will and inverting the truth. That's his number one objective, basically, is inverting the truth, flipping it over, Good example of that is saying men are women and women are men, or a guy can chop his ding-dong off and turn into a woman. That's pretty satanic. Stuff like that. So at its fundamental core, you're flipping truth on its back, and you're showing people what's right and wrong. Wrong is right, up is down, left is right, Sveria says, you're eating potato. When did you go vegan? At least dip it in blood. I'm not quite vegan yet, man, but, I'm testing the waters. Let's put it that way. Now, I'm just doing cooked starches, It's autogenous approved, my man. OG Reinhard, is it possible to crave brain without ever tasting it? My body literally craves brain and I have no way of obtaining it. All right, Jeffrey Dahmer. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm sure you can crave brain. Definitely, man. I've known people that have like never had liver and they've like had dreams about liver and stuff like that. So, it's just your body knows what it's doing. You just have to really listen to it. 9-inch nails are a reference to the size of the nails that were used in the crucifixion of Jesus. I've heard that. Yeah, I don't listen to 9-inch nails anymore. I've seen them in concert and everything. I was like a big fan back in the day. I've come a long way, guys. Let's put it that way. Satanism is moral relativism. Yeah, that's a good definition. Potato and salt. West 100% vegan and salt industry page still exposed. Yep. Guys, I'm losing it over here, guys. I'm losing it. My channel is going to be called Natural Human Diet plus potatoes plus salt plus popcorn balls. Get ready, guys. Popcorn balls is coming. Old fat bastard. An interesting old Celtic pagan take when they saw Christianity is that the apple was intended to be eaten representing God's children growing up. Huh. I think the apple was probably something like mushrooms, to be honest with you. Like psilocybin mushrooms. But I'm not 100% for sure, but that's what makes the most sense to me. Just because there's a lot of like artwork with mushrooms in it in early Christianity and stuff. So it's, when you look into that stuff, there's actually a book called The Sacred Cross and the Mushroom by John Mark Allegro. He was the Dead Sea Scroll guy, and he wrote a book about this stuff. Salt rock, salt toxic. Yeah, I agree. Salt probably is toxic, but I'm still experimenting with it because I do feel like I have like an adrenal insufficiency from probably abusing coffee and cannabis and sugar for like 15, 20 years straight. So I'm trying to do everything I can to get my adrenals functioning at an optimal level. And part of that is doing a little bit of salt per ogenus and also eating adrenal glands. And I quit cow's milk because cow's milk was actually really dragging my energy down. And I feel pretty good without it. I kind of miss the cream because I feel like slightly a little bit more anxious because it was nourishing my nervous system. But I get like a little bit of butter and cheese to take care of that, so it's not a big deal. But I'm going to try some goat milk as an experiment and kind of see if that works better for me than cow's milk and kind of go from there. And I might just make an order with Miller's Farm once every month or two and just get a little goat milk, drink it for a couple weeks, quit. I don't really think I need milk every day anymore because I'm not in that like baby stage anymore that Ogenes talks about. I think I'm kind of through that. Wow, finally someone said Sferia right. Yeah, I know. I can't butcher his name anymore. I've been craving a crap ton of tartar. Sounds good. Fat of the land. The word paradise means walled garden. Interesting. Brandon Esteban. First potatoes, next you'll be drinking piss. Like the snake diet guy, huh? Just drink your piss, fatty. Would you rather leave Christianity or stop eating raw meats? I've pretty much at this point left organized religion. I'm not going to say I left Christianity per se, but because I agree with all of the teachings of Jesus and I still practice that in my daily life, but I'm not interested in religion anymore. It's just, I think it's all bullshit, man. I really do. When you just look at it, guys, what religion did to Christianity is what the government has done to America. It's the same thing, guys. When Jesus and his disciples created this way of connecting to God and living your life in peace and walking with God, it was taken by the large power structures of the church and twisted into a form of control over the people. Okay? And so they tell you that you need to come to church and listen to the priest to connect with God rather than look within and connect with God there, right? Now look at what the government has done to America. It's the same thing. When the founding fathers founded America, who were Christian, by the way, when they founded America, they wanted it to be about the people, and they wanted it to be not about the government. They wanted it to be a small government, to be all about the people. They wrote the Constitution to protect the people from that. Look what's happening. The government is doing the same exact thing that religion has done to Christianity. You got to look at these larger patterns, guys. Like, I see these larger patterns in the world that help me come to these truths, you know? You can't get lost in the weeds so much. You got to look at the larger patterns going on. And basically what's going on is human beings are screwing everything up. So it's just crazy, man. Basically, if you have any sort of large group of people controlling something, controlling a narrative, telling you what to do, you can guarantee it's a scam. P. Miller says, potatoes, what's next? Lentil scramble? That sounds pretty gnarly. John Trium, I wonder if drinking bull semen will increase testosterone. Definitely. Let me see, did I miss someone's question? Must be too far back. Old fat bastard, here's the problem with everyone who does other belief systems such as Gnosticism. They do it because they lack the intelligence to study other beliefs that counter their own. Yeah, it's just, I think Gnosticism, I mean, honestly, I haven't looked into it, to be honest with you, so I can't really say. But on its face, with those first just like few sentences on Wikipedia or whatever, I think that kind of sums it up. If you go any deeper than that, it just probably gets a little weird. But it's really just about, like, spirituality is about you and your relationship with God. It's not any more complicated than that. Anytime you go really deeper than that and you try to, like, talk about it to people, you sound like an idiot. Anytime you try to push it on other people, you look like an asshole. You know, it's just, it's supposed to be like a very private thing between you and God. And so anything else outside of that is just a scam. Yeah, baked and confused. This is a cooked potato, but so I'm like 95% raw now, basically, and I eat like a cooked potato every once in a while. Because according to Audience Wonder Planets, who was really knowledgeable on this raw diet, he found that there's actually actually more than 50% of people need cooked starches, he said. So, excuse me, there's a good chance that you need cooked starches in your diet if you're on the raw diet. He said it prevents aging in some people. So it's like, I'm not trying to age, but also I'm kind of craving them too. So I think I was always a big potato eater. Like, that was one of the biggest, hardest things to cut out. So, yeah, I leave my eggs on the counter. Jeff. Travis says, I ate a pound of salted salmon the other day and I drank half a gallon of water after. It was insanely salty. Yeah, that's the thing about salt. It makes you thirsty. General Cattle, you should just buy the cream alone. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I might go talk to my farmer about that. P-Mo says, Wes, I wasn't aware you're from South America. That potato ain't local. Gonna have to unsub. You're right, man. I'm a South America shill now. Epitome of 7, Attack of the Nightshades. I feel good. I ate that potato. No digestive problems. Feels great. It's a good energy, too. Nothing wrong with it. Gentle Cattle, isn't it crazy how diverse Christianity is? So many different beliefs and interpretations. Catholic, Baptist, Eastern Orthodox, Pentecostal, Seventh-day Adventism, Mormon. Yeah, I know. That right there should be a clue to you that a lot of this stuff is a scam, if not all of it. Because they're dividing everybody up into sections. They're warring against each other. It's a scam, guys. Unfortunately, I know it's one of like I think the hardest things for people to wake up to, besides the raw meat scam that we're supposed to be eating raw meat instead of cooked, is the religion scam, because that's something that's pounded into you since day one, right? I don't know, for some reason I was able to wake up to this stuff, and there's a lot of people in the raw community that have, but there's really not a lot of raw channels out there if you look around. So a lot of people are still indoctrinated into the cooked food world, and for some reason they can't wake up out of it. But I have some theories of why I was able to wake up to this stuff. A lot of them are very personal, and maybe I'll share it someday. But you know, just some experiences in my life and stuff like that have helped me become more open to the fact that there's just a lot of lies out there. Let's put it that way. Little Viking Coach, have you seen the Cattle Rancher Shad Sullivan video? I haven't. Excuse me. What's up, Chicken Jar? Double K, I agree. There's tons of mushroom symbolism in early Christian artwork. I think they are needed to understand God. I think that mushrooms were used in the old times and played a big role into knowing God and yourself. Dude, I agree with you totally. It's good to know there's someone else out there, at least on my stream, that sees the same thing that I do, you know? Because a lot of people that don't have experiences with the old mushrooms, they're either brainwashed into thinking that they're bad for you, or they brain damage you, or there's some kind of weird stigma. Or they're also brainwashed into thinking that there's no way that that psychotropic drugs or sacraments could have influenced religion in any way. And that's crazy, man. Because when you look at all that artwork and stuff, it's completely psychedelic stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you totally, man. It's one of like the most mind-blowing things that I've ever woken up to. Old fat bastard, the West is Irish. I am a little Irish, for sure. It's coming out. Chicken Jar, do you feel stronger from eating the potato? Definitely. I had like one of the best workouts I've ever had after eating that potato the other day. I felt insanely strong. I was doing deadlifts, and I could just feel the electricity like pumping through my body, man. So those complex carbs, ideal for working out, for sure. And I think that's probably why I was craving them, because I never quit lifting weights or never quit running and stuff. Well, I kind of quit running, but I never quit lifting. Excuse me. Infections, man. Can you see my post? Yeah, I can see it. Old fat bastard. I forgot to mention this when I tried the 12 eggs a day thing while I was locked off the gym with no FAP, and when I came back, my bench went up 40 pounds without working out. You know, a lot of times that can happen, man, actually from just quitting lifting for a while. Like I would do some insane workouts for months at a time, and then I would quit lifting for about 3 weeks, and I would come back stronger because you heal up all those micro tears and stuff. I believe it, man. Yeah. All that throat clearing is already detoxed from the potatoes. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I get a little... We have like a lot of weather coming in right now, and sometimes that affects my body a little bit. Black picture. What are some good starches? Can I use white rice? I would recommend just potatoes, man. Maybe, yeah, white rice is probably not bad. Chicken Jar says, I think I might cook some rice I got from a long time ago. My right arm been sore. I might try that. Always experiment, man, you know? Like, one of the most annoying things that people used to tell me all the time was stop being dogmatic. Don't be dogmatic. Don't be dogmatic, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, I hated that. I don't know why I hated it. And now I suspect the reason I hated it is because they were right. Anytime you hate something someone says, it's probably because they were right. So yeah, don't be dogmatic about the raw thing, you know? If you want to eat a cooked potato twice a week, what's wrong with that? As long as the rest of your diet is 99% raw, who cares? Brett Roman says, I've had some very good experiences with mushrooms. I believe it allowed me to wake up from the fabricated reality. For sure, man. I've talked about mushrooms quite a bit on this stream, man. And sometimes I'm hesitant to talk about it because I don't know if everybody would have the same experiences that I would. So I don't know if it's something that it's for everybody. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not for everybody in the current damaged state that we're in, you know, but some people I think it's really good for. And yeah, mushrooms make me feel like the way that I should normally feel. It's really weird, man. It makes me, it's like I have all of these barriers in my mind that are somehow put there through trauma in life or just programming or just everyday repetition. But most likely probably just trauma, and the mushrooms completely drop that out of my head. And it also helps me, it gives me the ability to communicate better, so I can actually access my thoughts much easier and articulate them much better, and I'm like connected with my soul. So everything coming out of my mouth is like directly coming from my spirit. It's just, and it feels like the way that I should be normally. But there's some sort of default neural programming that we're under for some reason that for some people like me, it takes like high doses of mushrooms to break out of that, and it's the only way I can break out of it. And I have like a really high tolerance for them too, so I take a bunch. But yeah, it helped me access what I believe is supposed to be my normal mind state. So I don't know. They're very fascinating, man, and couldn't be more natural, you know. I don't wear face masks. Any tips on achieving independence? Many of us struggle with becoming adults, finding an income, a place to live. Everything seems stacked against us. You just got to put yourself out there, man. You know. You can't coddle yourself. You can't be coddled. You shouldn't be living with your parents. You shouldn't be afraid to get a roommate. You shouldn't be afraid to live life without a car for a while. You know what I mean? I've had times in my life where I didn't even have a place to sleep, man. So in my early life, and when I was like 19, 20 and stuff like that, and my parents showed me tough love, man, and they didn't invite me back home because they knew that I was the type of person that needed to learn things on my own, and I needed to fall down and pick myself back up, you know, and that's exactly what I did. I think what's going on with a lot of people today is they're not shown that tough love, and I hated my parents for years about that, man. I hated them for a long time because I felt like they didn't accept me back in when I needed them, you know, but they showed me how to be independent by basically throwing me to the wolves. And that's like the best advice I could give anybody. It's just, you got to throw yourself out there, man. You got to just hit the road, man. You got to get a job, get your own apartment, get a studio apartment, whatever. If you don't have a car, who cares? Ride the bus. You know what I mean? I rode the bus for like 2 years. It's like, you got to do what you got to do, man. But the number one thing is getting a job and getting your own place, and then just build from there. Save your money, you know, save 10% of your income every month. But there's plenty of jobs, guys. Plenty of jobs. You just got to look. You got to look. You got to go out and apply all day long. You know what I mean? You got to apply at like 15 places a day until you get a job. But it's not easy. Like, everything isn't stacked against you, but you got to understand we're in a competition. This world is like one big competition. We're all supposed to be working together, ideally, you know? But that's not the way that America is set up. It actually is set up, and so it's like a form of competition. So you got to be competitive too, you know? Jeff says, can you link your PayPal account in a hyperlink? I searched. Yeah, hang on just a sec here. It's that should get you there. You can't copy and paste on here. It's so stupid. What a scam, huh? Yeah, if you guys want to send super chats or anything, you can send them to that PayPal, and then I'll read them at the end of the stream. Brett Roman, I agree. I don't think it's really for weak-minded people that are just trying to have fun or on a party drug. Yeah, you got to be. Yeah, mushrooms are like, it's not a drug, guys. It's like a spiritual sacrament, you know. And it's not just some like hippy dippy bullshit. You got to look at the way all the indigenous tribes used it and stuff like that. Like it's a very special thing, and you got to respect it and use it in like a ritual. O.G. Reinhardt, I took shrooms this last December when I got medically discharged from the service. I was convinced that TV is social programming. I don't watch the news anymore, thank God. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mushrooms will totally disconnect you from all electronics. It's all a scam, dude. It's all a scam. That's the one thing that I learned from mushrooms. Everything is a scam. Everything. Gentle Cattle, do you still take mushrooms from time to time? Yeah, I do. Yep. Probably maybe twice a year. P. Miller, I'm trying to understand how people have enough energy on the keto diet, eating unsaturated oils all day long. Yeah, keto sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? I hate that word. Almonds and olive oil. No shit. Do you buy any of your fruit from local grocery stores? If so, what? Yeah, I get my fruit from natural grocers because I have a local farm I can get the fruit from, but these guys aren't 100% organic. So I don't trust what they're selling, unfortunately. So I just go to natural grocers and I get all my fruit from there and my celery and parsley if I'm going to do like a green juice or something. And if I ever run out of beef, which a lot of times I'm stocked up on grass-fed farm beef, but if I have some gaps in between, I'll go buy some chuck roast or something from like Hy-Vee. But that's it, man. That's all I buy. Gentle Cattle, I remember the first time going on carnivore diet, my energy was so bad, it was a rough adjustment, for sure. If you look at my Instagram, the way that I looked on my Instagram, I'll show you guys a picture of that. This is my my carnivore picture. This is me a month on carnivore right here. Just look how like stressed I look, man. I think this is before I went raw milk and everything. I was just eating organic steaks. That's it. I wasn't even eating Amish butter or anything like that. This is me in the middle, and then this is me like later on, like 18 months. And I'm still evolving. Like my physical body's still evolving. What are your thoughts on cryptocurrency? Not just Bitcoin. Many central banks are looking at the technology and countries are testing digital. I think it's a scam. Like you can pretty much ask me about anything and I'm gonna tell you it's a scam. If it's not about you and your family and your farm and thanking God every day, it's a scam. I'm telling you, man. It's all pride and ego and just. But yeah, specifically why Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is a scam is because you're still using the banks. You know what I'm saying? Like you still need the banks to use it. And also it's not a good way to, like, we should be getting more back to like the barter system where you like trade food between farmers and stuff like that. You have homesteads, you produce something, you trade it. We should be getting away from money, period, you know? So I think it's going the wrong direction, personally, because it's getting to the point to where you're putting everything on computers and stuff. So now you're more dependent upon technology than you were ever. At least we have paper now. Like paper's something you can hold in your hand. When you get into like Bitcoin and stuff like that, banks and technology companies could potentially punish you by freezing all of your money, and you could never have money ever again. Think about that. If you have cash stashed away in your wall, nobody can ever take that away from you. You always have that cash, no matter what some stupid technology company wants to do to you. You know what I'm saying? So getting more intertwined with the technology companies with money is the wrong direction. It's an illusion, guys. I understand the appeal of it, and it seems like, oh man, that's a way better way to do transactions, blah, blah, blah. You're avoiding all the bank. No, it's an illusion. It's a total scam, and I wouldn't go for it. Haleman, what would Christianity have to say about mushrooms? Oh, they would say it's practicing magic, and they would say it's probably poisoning the spirit or something crazy like that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy how disconnected they are from the truth. There's a lot of evidence. I wish I could show you guys the video, man. There's this guy. I'll have to find his name sometime. Maybe I'll try to look it up real fast here. It's hard to find because they try to ban people like this. But if you just look up, like, just type in Christianity and mushrooms on YouTube, guys. Here. It's, yeah, check this out. I just type in Christianity and mushrooms and look at everything that comes up, guys. Adam and Eve ate magic mushrooms. Halos were inspired by magic mushrooms. The psychedelic gospels. The secret history of Christianity. Joe Rogan talks about it. Paul Stamets talks about it. Dr. Jerry Brown. Bobby's Perspective talks about it. This guy. Jesus and the magic. I mean, come on, guys. Psychedelics in the Bible. It just goes on and on and on. Sacred mushroom. What mushrooms and DMT told me about Jesus Christ. More about it. Pages and pages and pages. Here's a whole book on it. The Sacred Mushroom. Pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages, guys. You can't say that's just all bullshit. I encourage you to look into it. Form your own opinion. Don't just take mine. Form your own. I wish I could find that one guy, though, that I was watching. He's very well articulated. And he found like a handful of substances in the Bible that are not psychedelic, but psychoactive. And they used them synergistically. And some of those were cinnamon, frankincense, and myrrh. Those things were used synergistically to get them get them high, basically. They weren't just like incense, guys. It's crazy. Is mushrooms not considered sorcery? I don't know what sorcery is, but I could see probably like a hard Bible-beating Christian saying something like that. But definitely not sorcery, man. It can connect you straight with God, like for sure, like without a doubt. P. Miller says, I wonder if swallowing the seawater when eating freshly opened oysters is bad. It's super salty. I do it. I think it's probably natural, you know? Gentle Cattle, you look super chill in the last pick. Yeah, I'm becoming more and more chill as I get in this diet, man. It's great. Money is a scam. Kitchi says, I want to drop out of school to learn how to hunt and homestead, but I'm not legally old enough to do so. Dude, school is one of the biggest scams besides all these other ones. But yeah, definitely learn like a trade or something and learn how to farm, you know. What's a better thing to learn than providing your own food? You know what I mean? John Trim, my goal is to get a farm with tons of sheep and poultry. There you go. You'd be a great center back if you're tall and big. Yeah, I probably should have played football, but I could do without the brain damage, you know? I was pretty good at baseball. P. Miller, imagine if humans just decided to stop using money and instead trade our resources. We could dismantle the whole money slave system. That's right. Santa was a mushroom. I love that. I'm pretty sure he was too. Santa and his elves, get out of here. Toe Rogan. Toe Rogan's a midget. How tall are you? I'm 6'3". What's up, Ibrahim? Yep, we're live, man. Welcome to the stream, buddy. John Trim says you just have to be somewhat aggressive in the leader of the defensive line. Yeah, I used to love playing like football, man. I played for a couple years in school, but I know my dad played football. I got most of my size from him. He's a pretty big dude. My uncle's a big dude too. My brother, he was a really, really good basketball player. My grandpa played Major League Baseball. My older brother played a bunch of sports. My mom was like a really good athlete too. We all would have been really good hunters, let's put it that way. Hunters and warriors. OG Reinhardt, college is a giant scam, I promise. Oh, college is the worst. This is coming from a guy that could have easily got a college degree, guys, easily. I graduated in the top 10% of my class. I was one of the smartest people in my whole school. I had a class of like over 600 people. I was probably in the top 20 smartest people in my entire class of 600 people. And so I could have easily got a college degree, easily. But my first year of college was one of the worst years of my life because I operate by intuition, and I believe God has always been with me, and he's always shown me what's right and what's wrong. And when I'm put in a wrong situation, man, like I suffer big time. And when I was put in these little tiny dorm rooms, and I was told to get up at 6 in the morning every morning to go study calculus, and I was going from classes from 6 a.m. all the way to 3 or 4 a.m. or 3 or 4 p.m. every day. It was a freaking nightmare. And I was living with like foreign people. And like, you know, no offense, guys, but you want to live around your people, right? Typically, white people want to live around white people, brown people want to live around brown people, etc. I was living in a foreign exchange student dorm, and just the whole thing was just a freaking nightmare, man. And yeah, I suffered big time. And so I'm one of the only people in my family that didn't get a college degree besides my grandpa who played baseball. And everybody else that got a college degree in my family is not using their degree at all. None of them. Fat of the land, what have you been feeding your dogs? I've been feeding them just raw hamburger and raw chicken breasts with a thigh. Or I'm sorry, thighs with legs. FYI, guys, I gotta cut this stream in about 10 minutes. So if you got any questions before I roll out here, now'd be a good time. Jeff, the word pharmacy is derived from the Greek word pharmakia, which is Greek and means sorcery or poison. That is very interesting. I miss school, Nintendo, Twizzlers, and drink boxes. I do too, man. I miss all that stuff. General Cattle, what are your thoughts on college? You pretty much already heard me say that, but it's complete indoctrination. It's brainwash. Just look at doctors, guys. They're one of the most highly educated people in the world, and they're basically killing people with vaccines, and all they know is drugs and disease. They know nothing about health and nutrition. And you're not going to learn anything of what I know about the raw primal diet and all that stuff in college, guys. I learned everything that I know from freaking YouTube and talking to you guys and getting references and recommendations from books and then ordering those books. That's what all these books are here. I have a whole mantle full of books that I've ordered over the last year from just talking to you guys. And I just you know, I just started to roll with it, man. I opened up myself and I just humbled myself and I told myself, I don't know anything. Let's start new. And so I just started learning an entirely different way to learn. And this is how you learn, guys. You gain wisdom from other human beings. You don't study things from books per se. Books are good references, but ultimately you learn the best stuff from just talking to other humans, you know? And you gather different life experiences from people that have had different encounters in their life. You reference them with your own, and then you come up with your own perspective, you know? But the internet's a great way to do that, especially when you're talking to people interested in health and nutrition, because you're getting a lot of different perspectives on life that you would never get normally, surrounded by everyone in your community that's just like you know, that thinks the way that you do. So yeah, I think college is just such a waste. And on top of that, it's a total financial scam. It's all profiting the banks only. So the banks just have a complete, and the government. Audience Online says Jesus is Lord, Lordizus is King, and kingdom of God is not within. That's incorrect, my friend. The kingdom of God is within, for sure. That's okay, man. You're still pretty young. Hopefully, you might see it someday, for sure. Baked and confused. What all do you eat? Is it just mostly raw meats? You mentioned feeding your dog raw chicken leg. I heard raw chicken is bad. Yeah, that's a whole scam, brainwash. Raw chicken is actually one of the best raw meats you can eat. It's one of my favorites, actually. I'm getting a bunch of pastured chicken next weekend from my farmer. Yeah, I just eat basically what you're seeing right here. Like, this is my dinner every day. I'll eat some organs, some brain, and I'll eat some muscle meat. And then my first meal of the day for breakfast, I'll eat about 12 ounces of raw beef, a couple raw eggs, you know. Interesting how doctors have on butcher coats. That's crazy. Gentle Cattle, parents tend to make you feel guilty about choosing not to go to college. Yeah. I don't think mine were too bummed out when I dropped out. They're like, okay, we'll put that 40 grand towards a house in the mountains. Sounds good to me. Ibrahim says, how about from my videos? I'm not sure what you're asking there, but good to have you here, man. I hear a lot of people saying raw chicken liver. How about from my video clips? OG Reinhardt, are you planning on having children? I'm 19 and I have dreams about being the best father in the world. I don't know why, but eating meat sparked it. Yeah, eating meat sparked the primal in me as well. Yeah, I definitely want a family and children for sure. That's like my next big goal in life, man. It's the next logical step. That's my plan. I'm in my mid-30s. I got plenty of time. My uncle just had a kid at 50. I don't know where Chris is at, man. Ibrahim. John Trim, how will you go about avoiding the vaccine if it's mandatory? I'll go camp in the woods with my dogs and post up with some weapons and make them come get me, I guess. Eat some roadkill. I can do that because I don't have a family. You know what I mean? If I had a family, it might be a different story. We'll see. Moving to the country is a good call, though, man, because they're not going to have time to go scour the country and, like, go on everybody's land and, like, find everybody, you know? Old fat bastard. Speaking of vaccines, I noticed in my child pictures that my blonde hair faded a few weeks after I was vaccinated. That's interesting, man. I think vaccines changed my eye color because my eyes are going back to blue again. They were blue when I was a kid, then they went to green, and now they're going back to blue. You can only eat red meats, huh? I don't know. Augenus said I think some people should eat like more chicken and some people should eat more red meats. It kind of depends on who you are. Not sure why that would be exactly, but just go with your instincts, man. You don't always have to be autogenous and know all of this technical science and like everything down to a molecular level. That stuff can be kind of exhausting. The real thing you should know is follow your body to a certain point. Get a good rough reference by studying his works, and then kind of go from there. Make it a good jump off point. Ibrahim says, "Did you learn from my video?" I did. What did I learn from your video? Oh yeah, I learned to skip eating meat 2 times a week. That was actually very helpful. Yeah, 50, man. My uncle's 50 and just blasted a kid out. It's amazing how men can just have kids into their like 70s, dude. Yeah, start a family young for sure. Don't wait a long time. Just online. Sorry to hard to type on the phone. Every religion and philosophy points to the same conclusion. God is within you. Satan said you should be your own God. Conclusions. Every religion is satanic. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were saying there, but yeah, God is within you, man. That's the crazy part. And some people will think that's actually satanic because you're saying like God, you are God or something, but that's not it. Like you have a little slice of God in there. It's the truth. Any info on the swine flu? I mean, it's a hoax for sure. It never transmitted to humans. Looking back, and I think the 5G thing was a massive red herring, and David Icke is a Mason. It's possible. Ibrahim Ozgenis said chicken for people with mental problems. I'll keep that in mind. Definitely. I may be a little bit crazy. You never know. I think it definitely would help out with that because it helps out your nerves and stuff, huh? Danny B says, look at Joey Carbstrong and Earthling Ed's eyes and compare it to any healthy person. Interesting. Black Picture says, burgers, steak, guns, First Amendment, yeah, Ford trucks, beer, real American. If you're on Raw Primal, you can still have kids in your 80s, for sure. Alright, guys, I got a couple things I got to do tonight, so I'm going to roll out. This has been great. Thanks for coming. Keep eating raw meat. God bless everybody.